Hello everyone, it's Janine here, and today I thought we'd have a go at painting a mini canvas. And the reason that my hands are already covered in paint is because I've done a white background on this, as I'd already got another design on it that I decided to change. So my white is already slightly wet, so you may want to do a layer of white just so you have a little bit of wet paint underneath. Anyway, so to start with, I'm putting some greens at the bottom. So from left to right, I've used phthalo green, brilliant green, and yellowish green, and they're from the Amsterdam make, but feel free to use whatever greens you have. And as you might have noticed from some of my other videos, I like to go straight onto the canvas, so I'll just put them straight onto the canvas. And now while they're still wet, I'm using a sponge to create some lovely texture here. And I'm also making sure to do my edges. That's personal preference, but I like to do the edges of the canvas. In case any of you are wondering, I'm using acrylic paints, but do feel free to use whatever brand of acrylics you have. This might be tricky in other types of paint, but feel free to have a go and use what you have. Now I've put some ultramarine blue onto my canvas, and now I'm actually using a palette, and I put some white in there. And the reason I use the palette is because I want to get kind of an even amount over on both sides of the brush and through the bristles, so it was easier to do that on a palette. And then I can try and get a nice blend and blend the white together on the sky in with the ultramarine blue. Now I just keep blending and going over it till I'm happy, and also remembering to do the sides again. Yeah, I just keep adding more white until I'm happy with that blend. I just keep going backwards and forwards horizontally along my canvas with the white paint to blend it in together to get a nice blend, like I said, till I'm happy with it. So for the background, I've been using a flat brush, as you can see here, and then in a few seconds you'll see I go on and add some details, and I use a much finer brush for this. I use a number 1 round brush, and you'll see that in a minute. And now I'm adding more paint to my palette, yes, using a palette again, and this is because I want to add some details in, so it's no good if you just splodge on your canvas for details. So I've gone with my darkest green and my lightest green, so that was phthalo green and the yellowish green, and I've mixed them together slightly to do some stem detail for some plants. Sorry with my hand getting in the way, do bear with me and you will see the picture. So yeah, I'm kind of just basically doodling with my brush and doing some foliage. Oh, but one thing you do need to make sure is I did let it dry. I did let the background dry before adding in my foliage, so do that, because mine was quite wet, and it will just move the background paint and you won't be able to paint in your details, so it's important you make sure that your layer's dry. But acrylic paints are pretty fast drying, so yeah, you shouldn't have to wait too long, or you can always put a hairdryer on it or a heat gun if you want to speed the process up, but it's probably better to let it dry naturally. I just let mine dry in the sun. We've had some nice sunny weather recently, which has been nice. I hope you're enjoying this video. Please do subscribe and like the video if you're enjoying it. I have lots of other arty crafty videos on my channel. I'm trying to promote positive mental well-being and the idea of using art to help you relax. Yeah, so I hope that you're finding this video relaxing. We all have mental health that needs looking after, the same as we have physical health. So yeah, I hope this video is giving you some space to do something different and to relax. Or maybe you're always doing art. I know how helpful it can be, but I hope this gives you some inspiration. I'm going to go back to that middle plant in a bit and add some more flower detail, but now I'm just doing like a vine at the side, and so I've just done kind of a wiggly line, and now I'm adding on some leaves, just pressing my brush down and using the brush shape to create the leaves and then adjusting it slightly as I go. So this is very simple and easy for anyone to have a go at. And as always, you know, as I was saying, don't put pressure on yourself. You know, this is about relaxing, and it's not necessarily about the final outcome, it's about the process and enjoying yourself. And you can't be enjoying yourself if you're putting pressure on yourself. I think we have a lot of pressure in other avenues of our life, so this is just time for you to be able to relax. And now I'm using some dark cobalt violet from the Pebeo range. So I'm using different acrylic paints, different brands, you know, use what brand you have. And I'm just adding a flower up on that bit of foliage there, and now I'm just adding in some purple blotches, dots into the foreground, just to add some kind of blurry details. I didn't want to go too much into detail in the foreground, as that middle part is where most of my details are, but I just thought that if I did some in the foreground it would help draw the eye around the little canvas. It's great to think about composition while we're doing these things. So the way I think about that is I try and think about how the viewer kind of views the artwork and where my eye wants to follow around the canvas. This can be to do with kind of balance and how you place items, and also how you balance things out with different colours, etc. I hope this video is giving you different ideas of how you could do things, even if you're not following along exactly with me. I think my favourite thing in this canvas was the texture that I got from the sponge actually in the background. So I could have just left it with just the background. I love the background actually, but I decided to add some more details. I thought you might be a bit bored if I just did the background bit. So yeah, and I added just a little bit of light purple in that flower, just to add a bit more detail. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what that colour was off the top of my head, but yeah, it was just a lighter purple. I don't think you could really see it too well when it was dry anyway, so it may not really be necessary. And now I'm going to add some flowers onto this middle bit here, kind of daisy type sort of flowers. So I used a lemon yellow there, and I just needed a tiny bit, so I just got a bit from the lid, and I just did some little dots. And now I'm going to use some white paint to do the petals, and like with those leaves on the vine over to the right, I'm just going to use my brush to create the petals as I press it down, but you'll see that about now, I think. And also one good thing that I found, sorry we're going off camera a bit here, but I found it easier to like turn the canvas as you go. Yeah, sorry you can't really see, but yeah, because I often forget, kind of like, you know, can't actually turn the canvas, and it just makes things a little bit easier. I sort of often feel like, oh, it has to, you know, I just don't really think through and kind of end up keeping it the right way up. But yeah, it makes it much easier to kind of turn the canvas and then press the brush down as you go. Sorry I missed this off the camera. It's difficult to keep it in shot and make sure that I can see what I'm doing at the same time, but hopefully you'll get the idea, because you saw with the vines how I was pressing the brush down to make the leaf shape. So it's the same thing with the petals, but the difference is turning the canvas as you go, and that makes it a little bit easier. I was just trying to like pull the like stems down of the different plants I've done down into the foliage, just to kind of pull it together a little bit. Yeah, just doing a little bit more of that here. Oh, sorry, gone off camera again. At this point I decided to carry on the vine along the top of my canvas. You can see there I've done another kind of wiggly line, and I'm just gonna carry on with the same process that I did with the vine down the side, but I'm taking it on the top. I just thought again that would help with my composition a bit, so yeah, I did that. But I tend to decide these things as I go along and kind of react to how it's going and see, you know, where I think it needs more. So yeah, I decided to do that across the top. But you know, it's personal preference, and you know, you don't necessarily need to do that. And then I'm just going to carry it on the side as well there. Again, that's personal preference, but I like to paint the sides of my canvases. I'm just adding a bit more detail onto the leaves on that plant on the left. I wasn't too sure about that plant, but it is there now, so I'm just trying to make the most of it and add a little bit more details onto the leaves. I always say to embrace things and go with it, and yeah, just see where they take you. Yeah, just adding a few more leaves in there. Same kind of way that I've done the other leaves, by pushing down my brush to create that shape and then adjusting it accordingly. And this is the final piece, and I had a little easel. Often the small canvases come with little easels, so I just displayed it on there for you. I hope you enjoyed this little project and it gave you some inspiration. Please do subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.